Just want to say thank you to everybody who has made it out to the book release party. It's been a lot of work getting the book together, making it happen, and it wouldn't happen without the amazing support, amazing friends, and we really appreciate you all coming out tonight. And hopefully the food was good. Again, we had the blueberry muffins and the chili recipe from the book. So the key with the book is, we're writing it for beginners, and really hoping it can make a big difference with so many people this holiday season, this New Year's season, in making the simple switch to a plant-based diet. And I guess I just wanted to talk a little bit. If you don't know my personal story, I was a college football player at the University of Nebraska, a starting college football player at the University of Nebraska, won the Gator Bowl in 2013, beat the University of Georgia, so that was fun. But that off-season that followed, I ended up suffering a career-ending back injury, breaking my back, and finding myself 100 pounds overweight, coming out of a 6.5-hour back surgery, working to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And luckily that did help quite a bit, but I still found myself overweight, and I come out of surgery, and my doctors, the first thing they say is, well, now you got to lose weight. Now you got to get down to a healthy body weight. And my first question is, well, that would have been great 6.5 hours ago before surgery. Why did you tell me that? But that led me on a path which eventually led me to a plant-based diet. But along the way, as some of you know, I was a livestock production major. I like to say that I have a 4-year degree in breeding, feeding, fattening, slaughtering, slicing, and serving every animal that Old MacDonald ever dreamed of. It's not something I'm proud of, but it is part of my past, and it's something that I've been able to utilize to help a lot of people with that background to either adopt a plant-based diet, work their way out of animal agriculture, or just maybe help their family members with a plant-based diet. So my journey to a plant-based diet was an interesting one, to say the least, and it's been a wonderful road filled with some great memories, some great people, and this is just kind of the cap to the wonderful journey that it's been to write this book. So couldn't have done it without everybody's help and support. So I did want to say, if anybody has any questions, I can answer some questions right now. Erica, why don't you come up here real quick? I would like to thank Dr. Miller, as some of you know her as. But my beautiful wife, Dr. Miller, or Erica, and baby Miller. So we are expecting a future plant-based baby here in the second week of January. So we're really excited for it, and it's going to be it's going to be a good time, an interesting time, and we're really excited for it. And we've got the 1 acre vegan farm out in the East End here, and we have a lot of greens that will be nourishing Dr. Miller, who will be nourishing baby Miller with this winter time. So we're really excited, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. And however the book does, and however many people it reaches, I really hope that it really can make a big difference. I know many of you got books, 1, 2, a couple copies, to give out to a family member, to a loved one, and I really do appreciate that. And it doesn't get old seeing others hopefully utilize this information to help their loved ones. I've seen my mom, my dad, my sister, both of my in-laws, I guess in-laws would be my mother and father-in-law, and my cousins and grandparents and some of our best friends really get to see the wonderful benefits that a plant-based diet does have to offer, and see them lose weight, regain their health, and hopefully get to be around for a long time, and that means a lot. And I know those of you who are getting the book to family members, just thinking about how much you love them, and just knowing that a simple exchange of a book or some simple knowledge, or sending them to a website, or sending them a recipe, sending them just a talk from a plant-based doctor can really make a huge difference, and it really is an honor to see that happening here and seeing everybody make that choice. So just want to say thank you, everybody. If you do have any questions, I'd love to answer them. If not, we can get back to some food and get back to some books, but thank you, everybody. Question.
So thinking about when you started writing the book and now, the other side of it, how different was the process than you were expecting when you started?
Getting into it, I kind of had a lot of information either compiled up here or like on my laptop, or just some files that I had of different research and different talks and different information that I found helpful in my own life, adopting a plant-based diet. I guess I didn't mention before, losing 100 pounds. So you can see me now, you can imagine me 100 pounds heavier. And I didn't get any taller. But from there and now, it's really just been, the biggest thing was realizing how simple that I wanted it to be. Looking at different recipe books, looking at different plant-based books, just looking at kind of the gauntlet of everything out there. My goal and my hope would be that as we're helping others adopt a plant-based diet, we can make that step as simple and easy as possible. And I feel like there are great options out there, but I felt like that my biggest mission with the book was making, for my mom, my dad, my sister, my loved ones, and for everybody else's loved ones, to kind of make to bridge that gap as simple, as seamless as possible. And so the recipes are, hopefully many of them are familiar in their generality, right, of being, hey, this is a burger, this is a jackfruit sandwich that would be a pulled pork substitute, but hopefully simple changes that are easy to prepare that can really make the difference. So that was the biggest thing, realizing that, hey, it's not all about throwing as much information at people at one time. It's really making it so that it's easily digested, and then any more steps that they want to take are great, but making those simple changes to a plant-based diet is number one. Brenda, you got your hand up?
I don't know. I think you told me this, so forgive me for not remembering. But I was telling people about you this morning at our meetup, and didn't you say your parents converted their farm? Did I make that up?
So Dr. Miller's family, she grew up on a pig farm. So my father-in-law was a pig farmer his whole life, ever since he was probably knee high, and now he's in his 50s. He's not 60 yet. He's in his 50s, and been a pig farmer his whole life, but my mother-in-law had actually gotten a diagnosis of breast cancer, and this was pretty shortly after, maybe 6 months after I had adopted a plant-based diet. Dr. Miller was still kind of working her way over to the plant-based way. It didn't take much longer than that, but about 6 months after I adopted a plant-based diet, my mother-in-law comes down with this diagnosis of breast cancer, and she goes through most of the standard practice, standard care, but gets to the point where and we had been telling her, hey, you should check out plant-based diet. I've been experiencing some of the benefits. I'd lost a good amount of weight. I really began regaining my health. We were sending that over there to her, but it came to the point where her doctor was saying that she was going to have to take a chemotherapy pill for the rest of her life, and she was, hopefully had another half of her life to live. And with all the side effects and the negatives that it does have. And so she said, all right, well, I'll start watching or checking out some of that plant-based information that you had, right, as they're living on a pig farm. And my father-in-law's out there raising pigs all day. And so they decided that, hey, she was going to make the switch. And my father-in-law, being the loving and amazing person that he is, decided that he would give a plant-based diet a try. They weren't preaching and telling the world and telling all their farm neighbors that they were doing that. But at the time, they gave it a try, and they haven't looked back. They've been completely plant-based for two years now. And so my mother-in-law is completely cancer-free. My father-in-law, he wasn't someone who was necessarily unhealthy, but someone who has lost weight, gotten down to his healthy body weight, gotten off of his cholesterol medication, gotten off his blood pressure medication, and they're both really just the wonderful example of health and what a plant-based diet can do. So yeah.
That's awesome.
So he doesn't raise pigs anymore. He does not raise pigs anymore. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Anybody else? Yes.
What are just a couple of your favorite recipes from the book that y'all make on kind of a weekly or regular basis?
Well, can I see the book real quick? So, if you've gotten a book, you might have looked through some of the recipes, and some of the recipes are my favorites. Like tonight, we had the blueberry muffins. Those are a really great one, especially if you have some kids or grandchildren, and they come over for the weekend, or you just want a snack that can be up on the counter. Which fresh fruit and vegetables are a wonderful snack, but if they're wanting something a little bit more, that makes a great option. The chili is a great recipe. The lentil loaf was a great recipe, this Thanksgiving time or around the holidays. But and those are all great recipes. And believe me, the 75 recipes are some of my favorite recipes. Ones I used to lose 100 pounds. Ones I've seen my mom lose 70 pounds. My sister lose 60 pounds. My dad lose 75 pounds. But really, what I think and where I think the most benefit is recipe-wise or cooking or preparing food-wise is going to be in the. Let me just pull it up here. Right here on page 20, you've got how to cook the basics. And so beyond cooking the recipes, which are wonderful, and they should all, the majority of them should be done in 30 minutes or with one pot, so you're not dirtying a full kitchen full of kitchenware, and simple to make with ingredients you can find at Food Lion or really whatever grocery store you have. But beyond all that, I think the real key and my favorite part of the book, and what I told the publishers was, if you want to work with me, or we're going to make this happen, then we're putting this in here, and that's cooking the basics. And so in the book, you'll have how to cook all the simple starchy staples, the foods that I built a diet around, that people in populations have built diets around, food like rice, beans, potatoes, oats, corn, quinoa, and sweet potatoes. And so in the book, you'll see how do I cook brown rice, quinoa, potatoes, white potatoes, red potatoes, yellow potatoes, sweet potatoes. And beyond that, how do you cook them, but how do you cook them in an oven, in a stovetop, in a pressure cooker, a slow cooker. And so you will really have no question on how do I cook those simple starchy staples. So if you know how to cook those and you have that information, then you really don't, the recipes are great. Believe me, they're great. But many nights during the week, we'll have a pot of brown rice that I've cooked on Saturday or Sunday in the fridge, cooked and ready to go. I'll have potatoes, sweet potatoes that I've baked, pull them out of the oven, let them cool, put them in the fridge. We'll have a pot of black beans that we'll either make on the stove or make in the Instant Pot, cooled, and put them in the fridge. And so recipes are wonderful, and they are great. And if you're someone who's transitioning and you want something that's similar, or you just, someone who wants a recipe, that's great. But many nights, as you're getting on a plant-based diet, or as we've found as we've continued a plant-based diet, it's really been, let's go to the fridge, let's pull out some brown rice, we'll pull out some black beans that are already cooked, and we'll warm them up, put some salsa on there, maybe some veggies or fruit on the side, and there's dinner. And we do the same thing with potatoes. Put the potatoes, warm them up, put some steamed broccoli on there, put some salsa on there, put whatever you want on there, and you've got a meal ready to go. So really the key, I think, is never being more than 10-15 minutes away from a cooked, ready to go, whole food plant-based meal. So the recipes are great, I love them, but having those basics and having that knowledge and really being able to pick out what your favorite way is to cook the simple starchy staples is, I think, the key for many, many people in continued success on a plant-based diet. Yeah. That answers your question.
Yeah.
Cool. Anybody else?
I was just going to say that's exactly why I bought the book.
Well, I'm so glad to hear. I know.
I've devoured every recipe book
Mm-hmm.
or online library, etc., etc. But that's not really how we live in reality. You might want to find a good recipe for this and that, but it really was that resonated.
Well, I'm so glad to hear. Yeah,
being realistic.
Recipes are great, and we love them and we make them, but that's maybe 10-15% of the time, where the majority of the time we're going back to the fridge and we're looking at what's in there. And luckily, if you've just made a big pot of brown rice, or made some black beans, or some quinoa, or some sweet potatoes, or you have some oats in the pantry, you're just a few minutes away from a cooked, ready-to-go meal without, none of the recipes have 1,000 ingredients or 100 steps, but without having to take any steps or any worry about it, you can make those quick and easy-to-go meals. And that's why I did say, I said, even if someone's not a beginner, or maybe a novice, or maybe an expert, just having all the cooked starches in there, or how to cook those simple starchy staples, the basic foods, all in one place. I know Dr. Miller has been in the kitchen, and I've been in the kitchen, and just thinking, how long, or what's, and then just pull it up, and it's right there. So hopefully that's really helpful to everybody. So, yeah.
So one of the challenges that I face with my family is that they know breakfast, they know oatmeal, and they know dinner because they'll do quinoa or rice or beans. What about lunch, though? Do you fall back on the simple starchy staples? Do you have any favorite plant-based sandwiches, or what direction do you like to go for lunch? I'm kind of curious.
That's a good question, because breakfast is normally an easy one, because you probably are familiar with some oatmeals, or you're familiar with some fruit, or that can be pretty easy. And dinner, you may have a little bit more time to prepare something, but lunch is really where we'll find ourselves either having leftovers from the night before, and I don't want to make it super simple. I'll give you some recipe ideas in there, but leftovers from the night before, a lot of times, Dr. Miller, who's down on campus, will all throw something, or put that all, we all take the pot off the stove, or whatever we're cooking, and then before I put it all in the fridge, I'll put some in a to-go container for her for the next day. So that works out great, but really, really, we do rely a lot on those simple starchy staples, where If one of us is heading out of the house or we need something to go for lunch, we have nice glass to-go containers that have they're a plastic lid with a rubber gasket on top, so they're really tight on there, and you can throw them around. They're not going to spill. But I'll grab one of those and put a couple scoops of brown rice with some beans, or put a couple potatoes in there with some broccoli, or with with some salsa in there, and really it's relying on those, but some good recipes if you feel like that. I'll say my dad, who's came from eating. You think the standard American diet, right? You think meat, milk, eggs, processed food, fish, and you think those type of things. My dad was like standard American diet. If you were going to try to eat the world's worst standard American diet, don't say that. You think of the standard American diet would be bad, but him eating a burrito every day for lunch or dinner, full of maybe half a pound of ground beef that's been, the beef wasn't fatty enough, so he had to pour some oil in there while he was cooking it. And then as he was fixing his burrito, he put on, I don't know, half a cup of sour cream on there. Not a dollop, no, half a cup or a cup. And then on top of it, and in both, he would put, not just a little bit of shredded cheese on there, which would be a standard American way. He'd use a whole 6-ounce bag of cheese every single night or every single day for lunch. So, when things would go on sale, it's never. People would think, "Oh, are you hoarding things for the next 6 months?" Like, no, for the next 6 days. So that would be a normal meal for him. And which again was horrible, right? Led him to being 275, 300 pounds for the past 40 years of his life. Teetering on extreme obesity to extreme obesity. And he was someone who was used to that. And then for either if he was having that for lunch, he would have a lunch meat sandwich with 6-8 slices of lunch meat, which we know processed meats are very bad for you. And then he would have, to top those 6-8 pieces of lunch meat, he'd have another 6-8 slices of cheese on there. And so a normal person's, a standard American, lunch meat sandwich might be this. Well, a Doug Miller lunch meat sandwich would be this. And we're not talking filling it with veggies either. We're talking filling it with the meat and cheese. And so for him, those were the recipes he ate. He always did. And if you were to say, hey, let's take a picture of this person who eats this every single day and stick it up on the wall, he would be the prototypical, wow, that guy eats 6 ounces of cheese on his burrito and every single day. Yeah, that's him. So for him, it was really making the simple changes, and we've got recipes in the book, like the burgers. So we've got the luau burger, a falafel burger, which really just is basically just another variation of my 3-2-1 burgers. So taking 3 cups of beans that have been drained and rinsed, it could be black beans, pinto beans, any type of bean you'd like, and taking 2 cups of cooked brown rice and 1 cup of oats, could be rolled oats or quick cooking oats, mixing it together with your favorite spices, and then a 4th cup of liquid. So in like the barbecue or the luau burger, there's a 4th cup of barbecue sauce. You could use vegetable broth. You could use any type of broth or any type of liquid in there, and making those up, grilling them up. The recipe's in there, but that was nice to have a dozen or half a dozen of those cooked, right, and then in the fridge. So we'd grill them up or we'd bake them up, and to have that where he could still have his whole wheat bread. He was always very particular about his bread. Like having whole wheat bread with 3 inches of meat and cheese was gonna be he was eating healthy. So so he could still have his his particular whole wheat bread and put those bean burgers on there. And instead of the cheese or instead of the lunch meat, he'd put his favorite sauces, which it's like he put all that meat and cheese on there, and there was still he'd take 10 minutes putting on all the sauces that he liked. So and still put on the sauces and do that. So simple changes like that, and things like the burrito. You got like a burrito bowl in the book, but for him it was still taking a burrito shell, but taking that and instead of having ground beef and cheese and sour cream, and we filled it up with we would in a pot or on the stove top cook out or have cooked brown rice, which we already have in the fridge, and some black beans or pinto beans, which we already have in the fridge, and mix them together with some vegetable broth and some seasonings like cumin or chili powder, and then fill that burrito up just as much as it would have before, maybe even some more. He'd be happy about that. Ooh, it's a bigger burrito now. And so we'd wrap it up. We wouldn't keep the cheese and sour cream out, but then we'd put on some shredded lettuce. He loves lettuce, so we'd put on some lettuce on there, and then he'd put on just as much taco sauce or salsa on there. That wasn't he can get better about that, but the real problem was what was in that burrito. And as someone who ate that every single day for 40 years, we're talking about from the time he left college from the time he started his plant-based journey just a few years ago, just a year and a half ago, no, 2 years ago now. 2 years ago now, he ate, was that about 40-year period, he would eat a lunch meat sandwich and standard American diet on steroids burrito every single day, without fault. And so for someone like him to make that change was pretty impressive, but it was pretty easy. You talk to him now and they'll say, I don't miss it. I get to eat more food now. I weigh less. I feel better. And hopefully that's really helping others as well. So I guess to get your lunch question, we use a lot of leftovers, but simple starchy staples, but finding what your favorite lunch food is and just making a healthy plant-based alternative is also a great way to go.
I think that's a great tip with the Tupperware. Be able to take it with you because we're all out, we're busy, and you got to be able to bring the healthy food with you sometimes.
Yeah. And there's, I forget, we got ours from a gift from maybe Sam. There's some good glass ones that are really, they stay nice and clean, and So, but we always stay prepared. I think with lunches and everything, being prepared, having those simple starchy staples ready to go in the fridge, cooked and ready to go, or the pantry full of oats where you can just throw some oatmeal together in the morning is a big key. So. Yeah, and don't be afraid to have some breakfast food for lunch or have some dinner food for breakfast. You can get. There's no rules with it. As long as you're eating healthy plant-based foods, which are unprocessed, close to their whole plant form, built around the simple starchy staples, which are high carbohydrate, high fiber, lower in fat, whole plant foods. You're going to be okay. You're all right. Yeah, you'll reap the benefits whether you're eating lunch foods at breakfast or breakfast foods at lunch. Yeah.
Gabriel, congratulations on the book release, man.
Thanks, John. Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah.
I was wondering, you're so passionate about this, and I think that's what we all love about you, is that you're all passionate and it's contagious. And I'm just wondering if you look at your injury as a blessing in disguise.
That's a good question. The doctor and I were driving over here tonight, and we were just talking about books and about the book and kind of just kind of reliving the process of writing and everything. And I said, what did I say I was going to call that book?
Give me a break.
I was like, if I ever write like a book about the injury, it'll be Give Me a Break. So when I think about the back injury, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I wouldn't wish it on myself again. Clearly, definitely, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemies. But has it led me to a different path and a different way of living? Of course, it has. And I think it was less about the injury, but more about the people I was surrounded with and the way that I guess I found a way past it was the real key. But it's something that definitely has led me on a different path. As being a starting college football player for one of the biggest countries, or one of the biggest programs in the country, to while also studying livestock production, planning and thinking that I was going to have a cattle ranch, grow animals, to then, finding my way, realizing that maybe the advice that my 300-pound nutrition professors were giving me wasn't so sound, has led me here. And so, it was definitely a blessing. Was it a blessing in disguise? A lot of times, yes, but it's definitely the people that I've been surrounded with, or I guess the relationships that I've built since then, have been the biggest key. But we were just thinking about that tonight. Yeah. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you all for coming out. I really appreciate it. Feel free to come over. We'll talk. If there's any more, we have some more books, but if when that ends, I'll be up and just be chatting. But thank you all for coming, and really, really appreciate it. Yes, don't leave without an extra muffin. But then I will also say that if you do enjoy the book and you feel so inclined, then a review on Amazon does help. Others who are thinking about a plant-based diet that may not have, maybe not know me as the author, but just be looking at the book as a way to adopt a plant-based diet. So if you find it helpful and you feel so inclined, that really does make a difference. So thank you all. Thank you all. Don't leave without an extra muffin. That's right. Yes.